Mackenzie is the president of the UPEI Student Union and is our guest. Thanks for coming in.
Happy to be here.
So how are you feeling about all of this? There's got to be a lot of apprehension in the air at the UPEI right now.
Yeah, there certainly is. There's a lot of anxiety amongst many students, particularly among those trying to graduate in the spring, but also from the international student crowd. I think everyone's feeling a little uneasy about the whole thing, which is understandable, but we're hoping to get through it with no disruption.
Yeah, I mean, you've had a rough few years with a pandemic. It's been really hard on students.
Yeah, there's certainly been no shortage of roadblocks for those trying to go through university between 2020 and now, particularly at UPEI, but yeah.
Yeah, that's where we're at. So what is the latest that you've been told, that students have been told about the situation?
So the latest I've been told, I think, is just what everyone knows, that they're taking their vote today and tomorrow. It's not looking encouraging for students at the current moment. It looks like
there might be a strike.
Yeah, it's looking that way at the moment, yeah.
Yeah, and students must really feel like they're kind of stuck in the middle here.
Yeah, certainly. We're definitely caught in the crossfire. The negotiations at their core are between the Faculty Association and the UPEI Board of Governors. We really are part of the negotiations at that level, but we're ultimately the biggest stakeholders in the negotiations.
What are you hearing from students? What are they telling you about their biggest concerns when it comes to the situation right now?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, students trying to graduate in the spring, they're worried if it's a longer strike, what that means for their graduation, because of course many higher year students at this point have jobs lined up and workplace commitments lined up. So there's a lot of anxiety around, am I going to be able to graduate, am I not? So that's one big thing. And of course, international students who pay a large tuition every year, much larger than domestic students, they're concerned, does this mean I have to do an extra semester and pay a lot more cash to go? What's this mean for me? But of course, I think everybody is also asking, what's this mean for me? How's this going to affect me? And we're doing our best to keep students informed on it.
So what happens in the event of the strike? You know, what have you been told about what you could expect?
Yeah, so students in this case are fortunate that labor legislation allows for the government to step in to put an end to a labor dispute. So that will help keep it to a minimum time period.
Hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah. But you know, we're not expecting one to be terribly long. Usually strikes in the Atlantic region anyway cap off at about 3 weeks. So we're kind of preparing for the worst, and that it could be up to 3 weeks.
Right. Do you feel like the communication has been okay for students? Do you think that they're well enough informed about what the situation is?
Yeah, I think communication has been done quite well by both sides, both the Faculty Association and the university. They're both either posting on Instagram or sending out emails explaining quite well what each side is asking for, and also what it could mean in terms of a strike and what it means for students. And we're also trying our best to keep students informed, answering their questions, and yeah.
Does the student union take a position at all on what's going on the labor situation?
Yeah, so we have had people request us to take a certain side. We are not. We don't feel it's appropriate for us to take a side. Of course, we represent all students at UPEI, and there are many students who are pro-faculty, there are many students who are pro-administration, and then of course there's lots of students who are kind of caught in the middle. So we feel it's wrong for us to take a particular side and decide on behalf of all students who is in the right and who's in the wrong. So we're leaving it to students individually to do that.
So you're just providing the information, essentially. You're almost like a news organization. We'll just give you the information, but we won't take a side.
Yeah, exactly. And in the event of a strike, we're going to have some increased programming and increased supports to help students through it.
Yeah, I mean, because a lot of students depend on school as a safe place too, and food insecurity and all those kind of things that play into that, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So, we'll be keeping our campus pub open, and we'll hopefully have an increase in events and things like that, different programs.
Keep people connected,
Yeah.
if it comes to that,
If it comes to that,
of course. And I do know there is an organized group of students, small group, that are supporting the faculty association, but that is not at all associated with the student union.
That's correct. They are not associated with the student union, nor do they reflect the views of the student union. However, they clearly feel very passionately about their stance, and
You appreciate that people have their own thoughts on it.
I appreciate that they're staying informed and they're fighting for what they believe in. Yeah.
Well, Adam McKenzie, thank you so much for your time. I'm sure we'll be chatting again in the not too distant future. Cheers.
Cheers.